morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome back to another episode of the Engine Room Podcast, brought to you by TokenMetrics.com. If you're just joining us now for the first time ever, you're joining us at a weird time. This is the third part of a three-part series in which we are dissecting Redphonecrypto's 69 crypto theses for 2022. You're definitely going to want to check out the previous 2 episodes of this podcast because there are 69 big ideas that this famous crypto anon is putting out. And, we're pretty convinced that this is the stuff that's going to drive crypto investing and how to make money in crypto in the year 2022. So we've already reviewed points 1 through 46 on this guy's deck. And in this episode, Bill and I are going to go through points 47 through 69, and then we'll count that box checked. We are speedrunning this document. We are not going to spend a lot of time on each slide. We are simply just going to react to it, offer some off-the-cuff analysis. Every single one of the ideas presented here could probably be their own podcast episode in and of itself. But in the interest of completion, we are going to visit every page, and Bill and I are going to basically talk about what it makes us think of, what it reminds us of. So, Bill, welcome back to the show. Always happy to have you here, man. Let's hit it. Let's jump right in with number 47 here. Crypto shifts ownership from the wealthy to the warriors, the men and women in the trenches who actively use and advocate for a product. In the future, investing will be less about picking winners and more about buying what truly matters to you as a human being. Perhaps one day humanity will look back on stock market investing as a perversion of the soul. We'll finally see investing as the original vampire attack, a way for the wealthy to clamp onto the backs of entrepreneurs and product users or buyers and suck them dry. Immediately, I'm thinking about how this whole notion of accredited investors is like kind of a stacked deck against the small retail guy. If anybody's not familiar, retail investors are basically like regular people like you and me who just have some special privileges. They have this financial license to kill that literally gains them access to deals that you and I don't get access to. So it'd be interesting to look back in the future and say, remember when that was a thing? Why did we ever sign up for that? Bill, where's your head at on this?
Okay, to be intellectually honest, a large part of the altcoin game is about figuring out what's going to 10x or 50x and then selling before it drops 100% or 80%, right? It's all the way up, all the way back down. One guy joked, every altcoin you'll ever buy, here's the chart.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy is saying that there's going to be an opportunity to invest for the betterment of humanity. There's that old saying, you vote with your feet, and now you're going to vote with your crypto wallet. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be investing and making a social or heartfelt human statement at the same time. Love it.
Yeah. Let's check out number 48, please. I clearly segregate my buys into 2 buckets, speculative plays and lifelong holds that could benefit my family and descendants for generations. I always know what type of asset you're buying, so you know when it's time to sell. Well, this is really speaking to me in my own investing activity, because I have held stuff that goes up and down, and in my head I'm like, no, this will be a 10x or 100x if I just hang on for a year or a few months at least. So it's nice to see this person kind of reinforcing the idea: know when you're going to sell before you actually buy.
All right.
Did I crush it, Bill? There's nothing to add?
You totally crushed it. I mean, the only thing I would add is, if you're speculating and you put a lampshade on your head and you feel like having a party, that's when it's time to sell something speculative. If it's something that you believe creates generational wealth or changes humanity, then your approach is the approach.
Yeah. So Michael Saylor has talked about how he's going to hold Bitcoin for decades, whereas the hot talk in altcoin trading right now has probably got names like Phantom. These are not the same thing. I think we can all agree. Anyway, number 49. If it isn't a complete pain in the ass to buy, you've already missed out on 10x or more of the gain. So I'm thinking about my earliest experiences with Uniswap and getting MetaMask up and running. That's not the easiest thing in the world, but I wonder if this might even be talking about like networking to the point that you're able to participate in private sales. That seems kind of like a painful, lengthy process to get to. Eventually, you have people who work at a company like Token Metrics, and eventually they have a flow of those kinds of deals. But for the retail investor, it's painful to actually make these 10x, 100x returns. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think of that, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Shiba Inu came out, it blew up the ETH network. So you can say, oh yeah, if you put $5,000 in the first day of Shiba Inu, you made $1 billion, literally. But what they don't tell you is for the $5,000 of Shiba Inu, you probably paid $1,000 in gas fees.
Yeah.
So if it could be high gas fees, it could be a coin on Phantom. So you have to get the Phantom wallet, get the Phantom, move it over there, find a DEX on Phantom, right? You may know what you want to buy, but you may not know the path. The same thing with the private sales, right? I mean, by the time something hits a centralized exchange, it may be over. Now, this guy is really talking about the return of small cap investing, and that includes NFTs, right? You're going to have to be early, and it's going to be a stock pickers market, right? So he is right that if it's a pain in the ass, if the technical guys, if it requires technical know-how, those are the early adopters who really profit once people wake up to it. On another level, you're going to have to pick stocks, or not pick stocks, but you're going to have to know what the themes are and where to look.
Yeah. Let's do number 50. If there is a God in crypto, he speaks to us through blockchain explorers. Well, I'm immediately thinking of product like Nansen AI, for example. What is Nansen AI? It's a blockchain explorer that does all the hard work for you. It tells you what smart people are buying. It lets you follow the whales, basically. I don't know I'm remembering a tweet that basically says it's going to be increasingly legally important for blockchain explorers to be completely protected, as all they're doing is interacting with open data. We could imagine, like, there's a shout out to Gabriel Shapiro. Love your tweets, man. He's a DeFi focused lawyer who's basically saying the government could theoretically come for blockchain explorers, and they might say this is not for everybody to have. This is just for us. So I've got to protect God.
Yeah, I mean, I think blockchain explorers allows retail investors access to what in stocks or bonds or currencies would be institutional flows that only investment banks would see. So it's like leveling the playing field as to who's doing what. I think the only thing, the catches with blockchain explorers is that, yes, you can see in, but the people that you're watching know they're being watched. So there's a little bit of game theory going on there, I think.
Number 51. When I first started contributing to DAOs, I was nervous, uncertain, and intimidated. You have no boss. Often you don't have clear rules. You simply roll up your sleeves and pitch in where you feel most drawn to help. In the Blue Pill, Yearn talks about this phenomenon as an evolution in human coordination. Just as individuals can climb the hierarchy of needs, so too can organizations. In humanity's early days, we had slavery and fiefdom. We evolved to factory and knowledge work. If DAOs realize their vision, we'll ascend to the next rung in the ladder, places where we can contribute what we want when we want, places where we can do what we're called to do from inside ourselves, not what we're forced to do by others. It's an utterly alien feeling compared to working for a corporation, but it's one that's more rewarding than anything Google, Facebook, or Netflix can offer. This is immediately dovetailing with earlier points in this document about how crypto topics at large is not just about finance and it's not just about technology. This is about human culture. If money is whatever we say it is, it seems like that definition is changing. Now, with building on these same principles from crypto, now we can totally change the way that people collaborate to a shared end goal. And that's basically, DAOs are a new invention, newish, I should say. That they're not brand new, but they are newish in that end.
Yeah, this is mind-boggling. I mean, can a DAO create a corporation that the members of the DAO could then turn around and go work for, right? In other words, can you govern the company you work for as an employee? It's like,
Yeah. The ultimate version of a union, perhaps.
right, perhaps.
Number 52. The best tech does not always win. The best stories rarely lose. I have a lot of critiques of crypto influencer Alex Becker. One thing that I completely agree with him on, however, is that this stuff is in trading crypto is in, you're not just trading crypto. So many of these companies don't even have finished working products. What are you actually trading? You're trading narratives and you're trading human opinions. And these are stories. So you can't really beat a good story when it comes to investing. Tech might be a good game to talk, and it might hold a little bit of water, but ultimately humans are story machines. So look for a good story in your investment in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, Token Metrics is not just a YouTube channel or a podcast, but it's a company, right? And when I do the market update, when I talk to our sophisticated people, if I can get that elevator pitch, if I can get my head around that story and communicate it, it can add a lot of power to the analysis, right? Because in order for someone to invest in it, they have to understand it, and it has to be understandable, which is maybe what this gentleman is talking about. The numbers and the code has to translate to something investors can believe in.
Yep, right on. Number 53. No matter how much weight you give the power of community, my guess is you're still underweighting it. Bill, we were just talking about this.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, folks, take a picture, take your phone, take a picture of this, print it out, stick it on your desk. You know what I'm saying? Like, hang it up on the wall. Like, this is changing how I'm going to be looking at crypto, whether it's a data-driven or qualitative approach. This guy's telling you that in the age of DAOs, community may matter more than the VCs behind a project or an NFT. Right? That's a pretty bold statement, but this guy, when I saw this slide, it's changed my approach to crypto.
Yeah. Members of a community are really just nodes on a network, and it pays to have a lot of nodes. Let's hit number 54 here. In 2021, crypto moved from the analytical brain to the soul. It started impacting me in ways that go far beyond how much money I can make or what I can buy. I saw creators make life-changing money on their artwork. I saw the music industry begin to unshackle itself from the record industry. I saw NFTs raise millions for charity. I saw young people make a living through gaming. I saw artwork that affected the way I view the world. I joined a DAO united in its efforts to free Ross Ulbricht from a double life sentence plus 40 years. I get to have deep conversations with the gigabrains at Analyst DAO and QI Capital. I play fantasy football with League DAO. I get to talk art with heroes like Nadia from Pussy Riot, Nadia from Pussy Riot at Pleaser DAO, and watch Paragon's DAO come to life around the sci-fi card game Parallel. There are so many things happening in crypto now. I can't possibly keep up with the entire industry anymore. And to be honest, I like it that way. We all get to follow our passions, and this horizontal expansion of the industry assures me crypto is here to stay. We're really just kind of echoing a point that's being made in different ways here. It's no longer just about moving money around the world in an uncensorable fashion. Now we're touching art, we're touching creative people, and art is connected to the soul. Crypto is culture, and culture is increasingly having more to do with crypto.
Yeah, I mean, there's more projects, more NFTs, and more possibilities, than there are stars in the sky. So, I mean, this guy's like an explorer. We all are. We're explorers who land on the beach, not realizing that, I don't know, there's the Mississippi River, the Grand Canyon, the Rocky Mountains. It's all out there. You just can't see it all yet. You can't explore it all yourself. All right. That's why you need, that's why you need diligence, a clear head, right?
And a
And
crypto roadmap, Bill.
yes, and that, and a crypto roadmap. And I'll bet you can guess where you can get one.
Is it tokenmetrics.com?
It could be. It could be.
Number 55. The launch of the first money market on a specific layer 1 equals the Big Bang moment. Layer 1 bag holders become wealthy overnight as they can deposit their Layer 1 tokens and borrow 50% plus against them. It's money printing on a scale that would even make the US government blush. And most of that money gets recycled into other projects on that Layer 1. Follow the money markets onto Layer 1s and start feasting on their microcaps. Bill, I bet you can help us put this in English, yeah?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about old-fashioned margin here, right? In other words, if he's saying if you can take, I don't know, ETH, deposit it somewhere and get, I don't know, more ETH to go out and speculate on ETH-based projects and fill in whatever layer 1 you want. But this guy's talking about bringing legacy level functionality, margin, like old-fashioned margin, like you borrow the money and you go out and buy something else with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's also talking about yield curves, raising money, right? In other words, could a corporation issue 3-month debt denominated in AVAX? Right? So when you have capital markets and you have a debt market that functions correctly, I mean, everyone's always talking about, oh, there's too much debt in the US. Sure. But everyone forgets that the whole process of being able to create private sector debt, yeah, it gets you in trouble. And that's all you ever hear about, right? But what you don't hear about is how debt, for example, allows a single mom after a divorce to be able to buy a house with a limited credit history. Okay, this guy's talking about the crypto version. Let's take a bunch of layer 1 tokens, right? That's kind of like gold, put them on deposit, get some money, and then start investing in the small caps, because we've talked about, even though the market may go lower, that's an opportunity for a small cap comeback.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's hit 56. We are going to make it, friends, but what comes then? A chance to be greedy and quote unquote make it further, or a chance to lift up the ones who never truly got a shot? I kind of love this because this guy is basically signaling that you have to have a heart about this stuff. Yeah, we all want to be financially independent tomorrow, but what happens when you actually achieve that goal? Do you go buy 2 yachts, or do you actually look back into where you came from and help the little guy out? It's a decision that a lot of people are going to have to make, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if this, if we were doing this podcast from my yacht, I might be saying something different. But I don't mind being one of those, I don't know, hungry guys still, right? I'm hungry. Because I think when you're hungry, you can get in touch, frankly, with the spirituality of crypto, which used to be called economics back in the day, right? I have a Bachelor of Arts in economics, not a Bachelor of Science, arts. So, money can have a soul, investing can have a soul. The question is, how do you nurture your crypto spirit? And if you can answer that question, then you can make money in crypto.
Right on. Number 57. What's the total addressable market of the internet plus equities? That's a nice starting point for cryptos, TAM. Is it in the quadrillions, Bill? I think we're past trillions when we're talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's like, Bitcoin went to $1 trillion market cap. I missed it. I had this conversation in a pizzeria with somebody. It's like, dude, if human connectivity and capital markets come to the blockchain in a way that, eliminates this wealth inequality trap, or, our servitude to central banks. I mean, people, there's the future of money and there's the future of technology investing. all of that's available in crypto. Basically, what this guy's doing in one sentence, which again is brilliant, just bringing your attention to what is possible, right? This slide could be in this presentation every year for the next 5 years and still be appropriate, regardless of where crypto market cap is.
Yeah, great. Number 58. 2022 will see the rise of garlic charms, special token locking schemes that ward off vampire attacks. Reference Curve. I wish I understood more about Curve. This is a pretty technically complex thing that came up earlier. I don't know. Can you extract any sense from this, Bill?
I can some, right? So I talked to one of our analysts about, the Curve ecosystem. Turns out we have a deep dive on the subject. The analyst noted I did the presentation on it. It was complex. No one understood it. And then the Curve governance token apparently did a 6x.
Yeah.
Right. So, I think the lesson is it really pays to try to wrap your mind around things that your mind initially looks at and goes, I can't understand that. That's my lesson. Right.
Sure. Yeah. I will take the same lesson from this slide. Let's figure out what Curve's all about. Number 59, Bill. The crypto rich could have more sway on the next century than kings and heads of state. We owe it to the moms and dads, the blue collar, the teachers, nurses, and firefighters who have been unwittingly effed by inflation to leave this place better than we found it. Do not hoard power. Do whatever you can to redistribute it. This sounds very much like an echo of the slide we just looked at. After you quote unquote make it, then what? This guy is suggesting that the onus is then on you to help elevate the people who haven't made it yet.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you're a new king, are you going to elevate your poor, or are you going to push them further down? This guy's basically giving the edict that you got to elevate everybody.
Yeah, I mean it's a sense of, if you make it in crypto, you have a level of social responsibility, okay, to help make sure not just that people get as rich as you necessarily, but that you can onboard people into crypto, right? In other words, don't build the ship and keep it in the harbor. Build the ship, fill it up with people, and sail it across the ocean to the new world.
Mm-hmm. Number 60. Mac Flavell recently said the goal of making CryptoKitties was making something infamous. We should all set our sights that high. There's never a requirement that says you have to be boring. I love this, but if you're making media or basically anything on the internet, boring is death. You're better off doing nothing at all than you are doing something boring. We should all aspire to be infamous. I think Redphonecrypto has certainly asserted himself or herself as being quite infamous in this space.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with a 60-year-old graphic artist, or I should say graphic illustrator. She created the persona Notorious Bill, saying that, in terms of body type, I reminded her of the Notorious B.I.G.
Mm-hmm.
She drew this cartoon. I threw it on my Twitter. I thought she was crazy. Okay. And as it turned out, it was anything but boring, and I actually embraced it. And I've actually got a Notorious B.I.G. outfit. It's just, I'm mustering up the courage to actually show up on camera with it. So
it could perhaps make you infamous, Bill. It could perhaps make you infamous.
It could. It could also. there could also be something else that happened. But I agree with you, and I as if I needed another reason to love this guy, this podcast, and this particular discussion. I mean, this just puts a smile on my face, right?
Yeah. Number 61. I've been making this prediction since 2013, so I may as well make it again. In 2022, we'll finally see a physical Bitcoin ETF in the U.S. Yeah, we saw big news in the middle of last year about the Bitcoin futures ETF, but at the time of this recording, there is still no ETF that tracks the actual price of Bitcoin in the moment. I guess Grayscale comes close, but it's still not exactly what this is about. Investing in Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is like investing in people who invest in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, you know, every time there's an intersection between legacy and crypto, the market blows up, right? I mean, in 2017, it was the advent of the CME futures contract at the absolute top of the market. Bitcoin went from 20 to 3K. Then there was the Coinbase IPO in May of 2021, which saw Bitcoin go from 65 to 38. And then, of course, there was the launching of the futures ETF, which was at the absolute top of the market. And I'm still wondering where the bottom is. So I love a physical Bitcoin ETF as a way for maybe people, for people in equities to be able to move the actual physical crypto markets. But man, I certainly hope they get this legacy crypto intertwining process right, because I'm tired of these down moves after these big events. So that's just my wah about that.
We got the whole year ahead of us for it, Bill.
That's
whole
right.
year ahead of us for it.
Right on.
Number 62. Holding is a form of godliness. It requires accepting the unknown, and most of us hate the unknown so much that we tell lies to ourselves to banish it from existence. Does that mean that Michael Saylor is like a Jesuit priest at this point?
Well, I mean, it means you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and IDKFS, which is I don't know for sure, is actually something that you need to embrace, which, as this guy said, I mean, you know, we'll tell ourselves any story to feel certain about the future. But on the flip side, what I like is in research, you get paid for imagination. Mm-hmm. And you get paid even more if you've got imagination and conviction. So what do you do to get yourself out of the lie you may tell yourself? Your imagination.
Right on. Number 63. After my dad died, my mom said something that's helped me on my way. We have a responsibility to go on living. We owe it to them to have fun and do something great with our lives. May we all have that courage with everything we do. I mean, we're just talking about life in general, but I'm in a number of group chats of people commiserating about this, how the market's been doing lately. So there's people who are, you know, holding heavy bags that used to be worth a lot more than they are now. But there's also a lot of just as many people saying you got to zoom out a little bit, because we've all had these thoughts before. We've all thought everything was going to crash and go to zero, never going to come back. If I'm going to connect the idea in this slide to investing in crypto specifically, it's be patient. And there's always another day. This, you know, the crypto markets are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop. They don't give any cares about whatever holiday you think it is. The market is open. So there's always another moment. You just have to wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, with this, it's Rocky Balboa, right? It's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and get up and keep going.
Yeah. Number 64. I'm expecting at least one massively insane governance attack that implodes a protocol, enriches an asshole, and leaves thousands utterly disillusioned. Too much governance can be deadly. Why not get rid of voting altogether? The number of governance minimum protocols will increase dramatically in 2022, and most of us will breathe a sigh of relief. I don't totally follow this. This seems to be about protecting the way DAOs operate, but a big part of how they operate is on decentralized governance that's conducted by way of voting. If you're not voting, how are you running a DAO?
I mean, when I read this, I thought the guy was saying, you know, do we need to have an election every 6 weeks? In other words, you know, Congress has unlimited term limits, right? No term limits in Congress, yet a DAO can shift gears every 6 weeks. So maybe this guy's saying that, you know, maybe there's something in the middle that, you know, we can govern, but we don't have to hyper govern.
Yeah, we'll see if that attack ever actually happens. Number 65. Why does getting protected by regulators feel more like getting hit in the face, spit on, and robbed? Because they're the old school and they're threatened by the new school. I think that's the answer to that. Anything that's new and cool threatens the old way of doing things, and that's never really been as clear as it has been when we're talking about crypto versus fiat. oh, you mean suddenly there's a way to actually trace every single unit of this currency and we can know where it goes and we can make highly, highly educated guesses onto who those people are that are actually moving this money? We've never had that. We've never had that before. Makes me kind of laugh whenever, one of the talking points that the anti-crypto crowd will throw out there is that this is strictly about black market money laundering, buying guns and human trafficking stuff. And yeah, there is a dark side to everything. But by comparison to cash, excuse me? No. So yeah, the old order is going to have to adapt on some level. And I don't think it's about toppling the old order. I think it's mostly about education and realignment. What do you think, Bill?
Well, I think some of the most interesting words to keep in mind when it comes to governments is as follows. Like, if you hear, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, you might want to raise an eyebrow. That was a famous saying by an ex-president. So governments, the primary job of government is to protect the people. That's police, fire, ambulance, military, intelligence. After that, always question the role of government.
Yeah. Number 66, every mistake, every bad trade, every conversation, every tweet, every Discord, every conference, every NFT, every DAO, every time you refuse to quit brings you closer to the day you find yourself, quote unquote, in the right place at the right time. Yeah, I mean, if I were going to boil that down to a slightly tastier soundbite, it just makes me think of the idea that it takes 10 years to make it overnight, basically. Suffer, and then boom, before you know it, one day, success.
Yes. In other words, obviously your capital is important, but your sanity is just as important. You don't want to rage quit crypto the week before it goes parabolic. So if you have to make position adjustments, like when I first started at Token Metrics, we actually had a section of the live stream called Crypto Therapy. The most important trade in crypto is to stay in crypto.
Yeah. Number 67, Bill. If these pages get a single dev to stop working on profiteering horseshit and start working on world-changing tech, this clown will die happy. Yeah, I mean, devs pull quite a bit of weight. They're technically informed. They are computer science. They probably have a computer science degree. And why not build something that serves yourself and makes money for you overnight? This slide is really a call for those guys to kind of reevaluate where their heads might be at, if that is actually what's going through their heads.
Right. In other words, he's talking about, computer science becoming an art form, maybe even a martial art if you're looking to change the system. So not a lot of people look at coding as a martial art, right? Or, as a spiritual practice, perhaps, where, yoga and down dog meets Python.
I love it, Bill. I love it. Number 68. When you commit to a project, you're not merely committing time, you're committing life force. Make it effing count. Yeah. I know I quote Michael Saylor quite a bit, but the civilization that most effectively harnesses energy is the one that wins. And it's the same. Attention is a form of energy. So whatever crypto project you're paying attention to, be sure you're paying attention to good stuff, because you're actually lending your energy to that project, whether you're invested or not.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is telling you to, believe in yourself, believe in your work, right? And don't just float from one thing to another. And that includes investing and trading, right? William Gann is a technical analyst that I follow. He didn't chart everything. He had to do it by hand. And he would tell you, there's only so many things you should be looking at. And he'd look at stock indexes and a few commodities. And with TradingView, you can look at everything. But the question is, should you?
Yeah.
Should you?
And we have arrived at number 69, the final thesis of crypto for 2022 by Redphonecrypto. Never forget we are among the luckiest people in human history. Generations have lived and died without the opportunity to invest in a landscape like this. And billions of people are still sitting on the sidelines even now. We are going to make it. Yeah, I know a lot of the Bored Ape NFT crew love to throw around this line about how they're so early. They're so freaking early, bro. And maybe that's true, but it's definitely more true for crypto investing in general. You know, there I don't know the exact numbers here, but we're still in like the dial-up days. Remember when it was a rare thing for someone to have internet at their house? I think it's still fair to say it's a rare thing for someone to be a crypto trader. Certainly, if you work at a company like Token Metrics, you surround yourself with more than a few of them. But I think about like my neighbors, for example. How many crypto traders do they know? Well, at least one, but we're still early. We're still early.
I think when I hear about this type of thinking, I think a higher power put us here with the intent of us connecting with each other, right? Not to build castles and moats, but to connect with each other. And what a better way to connect with each other than blockchain and crypto? So when this guy's saying that, hey, you're a lucky human, you may be here when connectivity goes to a whole new level, that, dare I say it, brings humanity closer to what a higher power intended. Comes the big censor, I don't canceled. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that spiritual element to crypto is something to consider.
Yeah. Are there any more slides in this deck, Bill? Or we've definitely hit every thesis, but is there any like parting shot here? Coda.
Yeah.
Coda. You can work your corporate job with your 401k and your ping pong table and free coffee and 4 weeks of vacation and bring your dog to work policy. No one will blame you. It's safe and predictable and completely respectable. But do you know what you can do? What else you can do? You can listen to that little voice inside your head that's whispering, it's time to stop selling fucking ads. Come away with us. Breathe your last breaths into code that could live 100 years and touch 1 trillion lives. Build something fantastic. Build something magical and awe-inspiring and full of risks. Build what keeps you up at night. Build what makes you feel alive. Make the decision. Join your voice with ours and let us scream as one into the abyss. I mean, I don't know how to put any finer and a punctuation mark on it than that. Come on, man.
Yeah, man. He's that says it all.
So yeah, I mean, the Redphonecrypto. Pay attention to this guy. He's been on the map, or she's been on the map for more than a year at this point. And Bill and I are both quite convinced that this document will be very helpful to anybody who wants to try to make some money in crypto. By way of plugging our sponsor here, we got to talk about tokenmetrics.com. That's another helpful way to make money in crypto this year. This podcast is just one of the media offerings that we have. We're coming at you 3 days a week on YouTube. If you like what we're doing, give this video a like, subscribe to Token Metrics on YouTube. You can also find the audio version of this podcast anywhere you get your audio podcasts. Just search Engine Room Crypto. Yeah, I don't know how else to end it, Bill. As we've established, it's a very long document with short ideas on each page, but each one of those ideas deserves their own 20-minute meditation, basically. So,
yeah, I mean, I feel like a video game, and I got to the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we defeated the final boss, and
yeah.
Then yeah. Well, except, or did it defeat us? Perhaps, I don't know.
No, I think we got it.
Anyway, very happy to be speaking to you and having the audience that we have. Stay with Token Metrics for all the help you need sorting signal from noise in crypto. Thanks from Dylan and Bill.